Hey JJ, how are you?
Good, aloha, welcome to Hawaii.
Well, thank you. It's my first time to Hawaii. Well, you know what? I gotta say, I've seen a lot of your stuff online, and it's pretty amazing. The tables that you make, the bar tops that you make for hotels and restaurants. I love the wood, and I love what you do. Great stuff.
Thank you.
But today we're gonna be doing a Build It project, a much smaller project. And so tell me about the box.
We got a Hawaiian keepsake box here made out of Hawaiian curly mango lumber.
Mango, okay, yeah, I had
Yeah.
one of those for breakfast this morning.
Yeah, delicious fruit, mangoes everywhere in Hawaii, trees are everywhere.
It's beautiful wood.
And we cut the wood out at our lumber mill on the North Shore
So
of
you have your
Oahu.
own mill.
Yeah, we mill our own wood from salvage companies, tree companies.
So do you stick dry it, the kiln
We
dry
air
it?
dry it, we sticker it for about 2 years. We try to let it get down to about 14% humidity.
From there you do what?
We can work it from there. Once it's dry, we'll get the raw piece of lumber. Usually it'll have one natural edge on it. So we'll sand it both sides through the machine to get it nice and level.
Yep.
And then we'll run a straight edge on the joiner. And then from the joiner, we'll go to the table saw and dimensionalize the lumber. And then from there, we can work it onto the bandsaw. This one piece will make up the 4 sides of a box. We've put it through the wide belt sander and we've done the dado.
Right, I like the dado because you've actually recessed the bottom up just a little bit, but it also gives it some strength. I really like this touch right here where you actually match the grain around each corner. It's almost like you're folding the board. But to do that, you mitered the corners.
Yes, and before we miter it, we're gonna get a finish on the inside first.
Oh, great. All right, JJ, I went through all the grits, starting at 220, finishing up at 1200. We have a nice smooth surface.
Okay, now we're gonna use a polyurethane glue to put the box together.
All right. Well, I got to say, polyurethane glue is really strong, but you know, it can bubble up and be really messy.
We're not too worried about the messy part because we're also gonna be using it as a finish.
As a finish,
Yeah, as a finish.
I must say, I've never used it as a finish. This will be interesting.
We're gonna put a couple drops in the front.
So you're just working it into the
Yeah, we
grain.
work it in, sort of like waxing a car. As the rag sucks it up, you'll probably have to put a little more.
Yep. Well, this is the first time I've seen glue as a finish. I got to say that.
Yeah, it sort of came up as an accident, but it works really good.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, polyurethane, it's used as a finish all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I find that it seals the pores really well and it gives a really nice hand rub look. Keep working it in.
Yep.
After we've put it on, we wipe it down, and maybe every 10 to 15 minutes, we wipe it again for about 45 minutes.
I really think it's smart that you're finishing this flat surface for the inside of the box first before you assemble it. A lot easier.
So now we're gonna hit it again with 1200 grit sandpaper. And now we're gonna use the paste wax for a final finish.
Okay.
The wax will also help with the glue pour out on the joints. So if the glue does pour out, it's easier to clean out.
That makes sense.
Now we can cut our pieces to length and miter the corners to 45 degrees on the table saw. The same polyurethane glue we're using, we're going to now use to glue together the box.
Okay.
We're using a 1/4-inch plywood bottom made out of koa.
I noticed that it just, no finish on that.
No finish, this is more of a keepsake valet box.
Okay.
And now we're going to clamp it together and let it dry for about an hour.
Okay.
Then we'll be removing about 1/3 of the top of the box. And this part is actually part of the lid. And by doing that, we'll be able to keep the continuous grain throughout the lid and the side. So now we're going to put some splines in the corners of the joints to reinforce the joint and add some decoration to the box. The slot for the spline was cut on a table saw at a 45-degree angle using a jig. The splines were cut from scrap pieces of Cuban mahogany.
Well, that's a nice accent piece, and it'll really stiffen up that joint too.
Yeah. While the glue is setting up, we're going to send the pieces through the wide belt sander and level everything up. So now that the splines are dried, we're ready to trim them off with a pole saw. And this is just another piece of mango. Kind of want to push it down so the lid doesn't shift and it hits the glue.
Yep. Now we're ready to install the hinges to hold the top on. There are actually two little barrel hinges. You drill a 5mm hole and insert them into it.
So the lid will open. We have to chamfer the bottom and top edges of the box. Now that we have a final sand and that we've eased the edges along all the corners and edges, we can apply the finish. And we use the same as we did on the inside, the glue and then the wax.
And I really like the sheen of this finish. It's almost like a matte or a semi-gloss finish. I'm not a big fan of the high gloss.
Yes, me too.
Well, I was a little skeptical about using polyurethane glue as a finish, but once it was sanded up and waxed, it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love the wood. And a pretty good trick using the super glue to hold the hinges in place. Really a nice job and a beautiful box.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to show you, and please accept this box. Something from Hoya.
Really? Well, thank you. And I'm also going to take a couple of your tricks you taught me.
Thank you.